All right. So hello, and thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Jessica Jones. I'm the client care coordinator here in Winnipeg. So if you're joining us tonight, it's probably because you have found out that you're headed our way and you're getting posted to Winnipeg. So I'd like to be the first one to say welcome, even if you're not quite here yet. And we're looking forward to welcoming you here. Whoops. Oh, there we go. So I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are gathered, well, at least I am right now, but you're all headed here, gathered on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. I will be conducting this meeting in English. If you're a Francophone and you would like more explanation in French, I would be happy to do that. I'm bilingual, and we can set up a time later to have a more in-depth conversation. Donc, la session se déroulera en anglais, mais si vous êtes un francophone et vous voulez plus d'explications, je serais heureuse de, de céduler une rencontre un à un. Sur un autre temps, désolé. So really quick, this is what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to talk about what clearing in with the Winnipeg MFRC looks like. And then we're going to talk about some relocation supports available to you and your families, a little introduction to Winnipeg, some things to do, and then we'll go into some little bit more serious things, not as fun as things to do, but important things to know, like how to apply for Manitoba health cards, finding a family doctor once you've arrived, Manitoba public insurance, some employment supports for your loved ones who may be needing it, and some safety information, and then also the kind of what the situation looks like with residential housing units here. For those of you who don't know, that is the new name for PMQs. And then we're going to take a quick pause for questions. This is a little bit of an odd time for questions. However, I realize that the subjects of school and childcare are very important subjects that people usually have a lot of questions about, and we want to make sure to give enough time to those subjects as they are pretty important ones. And we also want to be respectful of the time for anyone else who may not need to know about schools or childcare. So this is kind of a time for any questions about everything else before we dive into school and childcare. And then, yes, then we'll do school, educational supports, childcare, and why it's important to connect with us. And we'll take some more questions. So first of all, welcome to Winnipeg. When you arrive or when you're here on your house hunting trip, you can feel free to contact me to book your clear-in meeting. So here in Winnipeg, our clear-in meetings is a little bit different. When you arrive, you will have just like a 15-minute meeting with me. It's really just so that I can get to know you better, get to know your family, your needs, to make sure that we can properly support you in your relocation, and also so that we can give you more information about supports available to you and try to make sure that your relocation goes as smoothly as possible and that you're well supported here. The meeting takes about 15 minutes. I strongly encourage you to bring your family with you. That way everyone can ask questions if they have some. And I also, even if you have little kids, don't worry about it. We've got a toy room. I often conduct clear-in meetings in there, and the kids are pretty happy and occupied while we have a good talk. A lot of people do choose to do this meeting during their house hunting trip because there's some good information that's nice to have even before you arrive. So if you're here on your house hunting trip and you want to stop by and say hi, I'd be happy to meet with you. And there's my contact information. And well, you already have my email because I sent you my information. Well, the invite for tonight. So yeah. So here's a little bit more about our relocation supports. So Jenny is going to be dropping some links in the chat as we go, because of course you can't click on these links that I've got up here. So if you see any that are important to you that you want to make sure you check out after. Make sure to click on them, because once the meeting finishes, the chat disappears, so you won't have them anymore. So make sure to copy paste them somewhere if there's something that you want to check out. So first of all, we've got our relocation supports. So that's a little bit about what we do here to support you and your family in your relocation. There's also some answers to some very commonly asked questions. So some of the things that we're going over tonight and some other good to know things. We also have information about all of our kind of upcoming programs and everything there. So it's a good spot to kind of keep an eye on and keep a good tab on what's going on. And then there's our national relocation support tools. So those are tools provided by CFMWS. So there's some really great things like a moving checklist and just some other good things to help you plan for your relocation. So we'll get into Winnipeg fun facts, because I feel like, I know personally when we got posted here, I'm from the East Coast myself, and I knew nothing about Winnipeg except that it was very cold. So I'd like to share some things that are a little bit funner than just the cold. So first of all, Winnipeg is actually the 9th largest city in Canada. And we're the sunshine capital of Canada, with over 2,300 hours of sun annually. So yes, it gets very cold in the winter. However, the sun is basically always shining, which is really nice. So even when it's crazy cold, you're still getting that, daily dose of vitamin D and feeling not so blue in the winter, which is nice. Just need to bundle up. In the summer, at times it can get as warm as plus 35. So yes, don't worry, we do enjoy the sun and the warmth as well. And in winter, it can get as cold as minus 40. Unfortunately, sometimes on a pretty regular basis, depending on how we're doing with our cold snaps for the winter. So if you do not already have a block heater in your car, make sure to get one installed. And do not make the same mistake as I did my first winter here in forgetting to plug your vehicle in when a particularly cold night is coming up, because you will not be able to start your car in the morning. Funny, even though it is very cold here, we are actually the Slurpee capital of the world for 22 years running. So even though it's crazy cold, you'll still see people walking around with a Slurpee in their hands. And if you are a little bit worried, oh, sorry, in the world, yes. Thank you, Jenny, with the Slurpee capital of the world. Very proud of that. All right. Yes, so if you are someone who is a little bit unhappy about, getting moved to the middle of the country, very, very far away from the ocean, I know that's something that I was a little unhappy about coming from the East Coast. Not to worry, there are over 100,000 lakes in Manitoba, covering approximately 16% of the province. So if you like boating, you like fishing, going to the beach, there is definitely a lake for you in Manitoba. And one of the wonderful things about Winnipeg is there's always something to do. Seriously, there's always something to do. There are some great attractions. There's the Forks, which is always really hard to describe, Forks. It doesn't really give away what it is. Basically, it's a place in the city where the river forks. Oh, Jenny, would you like to explain it? Do you have a better? There you go.
I think you were just about to get there. It's just where the two rivers meet. Yeah. Like it's the fork in the river.
Yeah. And I think for a very long time it was used as a place for trade and everything, and then it's kind of developed from there. It's a really great place to check out. There's some beautiful shops and a lot of local artisans and really pretty walking trails and all that kind of stuff. Always a lot of festivals happening there. They flood the river during the winter. They even set up some curling rinks on the river, which is pretty cool. And then right next to it is the Museum of Human Rights. It's a pretty amazing museum. Definitely check off a whole day to do it, because it will take you a whole day to do it, but it will be worth it. There's the Manitoba Museum, the Winnipeg Art Gallery, the Royal Canadian Mint is here. And then if sports are more so your thing, there are plenty of professional sports teams here. There's the Blue Bombers, the Gold Eyes, the Jets, Sea Bears, and then plenty of other sports teams as well to go and enjoy. There are many festivals here in Winnipeg to enjoy. So there's the Winnipeg Folk Festival, the Manitoba Music Festival, the Fringe Theatre Festival, Folkorama, which is like a giant multicultural festival that lasts days. It's pretty amazing. And then there's also the Festival du Voyageur, which is, I believe, the largest francophone festival in Western Canada. In the winter, especially this carving that you see on the side here is from Festival du Voyageur. They do some pretty amazing snow carving all over the city. And then there are also just some other amazing performances, like from the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, the Manitoba Opera Association, and the Royal Winnipeg Ballet is a pretty amazing one to go check out. So yes, and that's only in Winnipeg, I might add. If you go outside the city in any direction, basically, you'll find some really nice small towns that all are having their own big festivals during the summer. And yes, it's a very, very active province. Oops. So away from the fun stuff, but on to some pretty important stuff to know, of course. For your civilian family members, when you get here, you will, of course, have to look into getting Manitoba health cards. If you have started Googling or looking online about getting Manitoba health cards, chances are you've probably seen people talking about the long wait times. Unfortunately, that is true, but I will hopefully give you some advice here today that will help you avoid some of the headaches that some other people have had to deal with. So yes, the 3-month waiting period is waived for Canadian military families moving to Manitoba, meaning for everyone else moving to Manitoba, you can't even apply for your health card until you've resided in the province for 3 months. You can apply for it right away as soon as you arrive. However, unfortunately, even with that in mind, the wait time is still very lengthy. They've had a big backlog since COVID, I think, and they've just struggled to keep up since then. Applications can be made online or in person. The address is there, and the website, I believe Jenny is going to put in the chat just now. Some good tips. So after you've made your application online, maybe about a week later, call them, because we've discovered through experience with other families that some people can be waiting 6 months and then eventually receive an email, or when they call to check on the status of their application, they speak to someone and the person at Manitoba Health says that the request hasn't even been processed yet because they're missing some files or some documents for the application, which is frustrating, of course, because it would be nice to know that as soon as you made the application so you can speed it up a little bit, but it seems like, unfortunately, that's just not happening. So it's a good idea to call, check, make sure that they have everything they need to process your application so it can hopefully go a little bit quicker. A special note for those who plan on living in residential housing units, so PMQs, only the member's name will be on your lease. Manitoba Health needs multiple proofs of address for your civilian family members. So it's always just a good idea to have something in your civilian family member's name. So, sorry, civilian partner or spouse's name. So, for example, just register your cable or internet in their name. That way you've got an extra piece of mail in their name and it can just help kind of speed things along. You've just got that extra piece of a proof of identification. We already talked about checking for the status. Once you arrive, you can still use, oh, sorry, is Jenny trying to say something? No. Okay, sorry, I thought I saw your hand. Okay, so once you've arrived, you can still use your health card from a previous province for 3 months. So what you can do to help yourself out now is to make sure that those health cards are not expiring anytime soon. So if you're in Ontario, take a quick look at your health card, make sure it's not expiring within the next month or two, because you will probably have to use it for a little bit once you arrived. They do require a few different forms of dog ID and proofs of address and such, it can be a little bit hard to navigate. So there's this handy little link here, their document helper. So feel free to just go and check through. You'll be able to check off what you do have, what you don't have, and that'll help you just make sure that you have all the proper documents ready for when it's time to apply for it. You'll see an example of our Manitoba Health Card here. They have announced that they plan on replacing it with a plastic card next year because yes, it is a paper card. We hear from everyone all the time that when they receive it in the mail, they think it's a temporary card and their real card is coming soon. Nope, that's your real card. So the whole family is under one card, and it folds up and goes in your wallet and gets pretty tattered and torn pretty quickly. So take care of it. But hopefully we'll have them replaced by plastic cards very soon. The good news is that you do not need to have a Manitoba Health Card in hand to get a family doctor here. So even if it does take a little while, you can still apply to get a family doctor before you've received your Manitoba Health Card, which is good news. So here are some options for getting a family doctor. So you can reach out to the Manitoba Family Doctor Finder. However, I am hearing echoes lately that they are getting a little bit stricter with wanting people to have their Manitoba Health Card already before applying with them. So you can try, but you might have some better luck with the Canadian Military Family Doctor Network. So with them, you do not need a Manitoba Health Card. You can reach out to them and they will help you find a family doctor. They are pretty good. They're pretty quick. Most people I see are able to find a family doctor within about a month or two. It might not be in your preferred location. However, if you do have a preferred location, if you know that there's a clinic down your street where you're moving to, you can feel free to call them. There are many family doctors all over the city that are taking patients. So taking that extra step of reaching out to the ones that you really want might come in handy. And while you're waiting for your family doctor, you can use some tools like HuDocs and Maple. So these are two online tools where you can get prescription refills. You can book appointments with doctors virtually, and they can help you with kind of some minor ailments while waiting for your family doctor. And those you can use with, I believe, your Maple, the Maple you can use with your CF1 card, and HuDocs is free. You just need a health card from any province. So once you've arrived, you have 3 months to switch to a Manitoba license and registration. So when you do, you can go into any Manitoba Public Insurance branch. We do have one here right off base, so it's in the same building as the Canucks, actually right next door to the MFRC, so you can come see me for your clearing and you can go straight there to get your license and registration sorted out. So when you go see them, you'll need a few different things. So you will need a couple different pieces of ID. It's not as simple sometimes as just bringing in your old license. You may need like your marriage certificate or something if you ever had a name change and different things like that. So it's a good idea to check out this ID wizard that Jenny is sharing in the chat, and that'll help you kind of determine the documents you need before you have to go in. You'll also need your driver's license that you currently have and a $65 annual license fee. A couple tips to help boost your driving record and perhaps get a better rate. Right now, what you can do in your current province and with your current licensing and insurance is you can ask them for a driver's abstract that covers the last 10 years. You can do that with your province's licensing, and you can also go to your current insurance provider and ask them for your claims history for the last 10 years. And if you provide that, you should be able to get a better rate when you arrive. For employment resources, so if you have a civilian spouse or partner, or even maybe an older teen or older kids still living with you, a dependent who is looking for work, you can visit our online employment resource hub here. It's got all sorts of great tools to help you kind of prep for your job search, resume writing skills, interview skills, all that kind of stuff. And then we also have our programs manager, Jenny, who's with us tonight. She does organize some employment workshops throughout the year. So it's a good idea to reach out to her and just let her know that you'd like to be kept in the loop. And she's also got some really good other resources and kind of tricks up her sleeve to help you with your employment search. And then there's also a great new program offered by CFMWS. It's called Career Coaching. So that is where you will be connected with a career coach for 5 free sessions, and they will help you kind of navigate your change of career, change of work with your new posting. Unfortunately, another thing that everybody always is concerned about when they hear they're posted to Winnipeg, they say it's cold and there's crime. So we wanted to quickly try to put anyone who has those thoughts at ease. I know Jenny and I have chatted about this. I've lived here for almost 5 years now. Jenny's lived here forever. And we feel it's a pretty safe space, at least for us anyways. There are some really beautiful areas of the city where you can, it doesn't feel like it's a high crime city, I can say anyways. But bearing in mind, it's a large city, so therefore more people, those statistics are going to go up, of course. So bear that in mind when you're looking at kind of crime rates and all that kind of thing. Really, you just need to kind of observe best practices for living in a large city. So for example, lock your doors. I come from a small town in New Brunswick, so I'm very, very used to, you know, the leaving the house and leaving your doors unlocked. Might not want to do that here. And then also storing your valuables appropriately. So of course, if you're leaving a bunch of beautiful, expensive, brand new bikes in your yard unlocked, well, they might not be there the next morning. So just little things like that to keep your belongings safe. If you do really want to look into it, there is a Winnipeg crime map provided by the Winnipeg Police. I recommend not getting too caught up on it. You know, you get sucked in and you start stressing about things. Yeah, don't pay too much mind to it. However, it can help you if you're looking at different areas to buy in, or you're just wondering what areas to kind of avoid in the city. It can be helpful, but you can also reach out to me and I would be happy to help you navigate that as well. Mouse is very touchy. All right. If you are looking at trying to get into an RHU, so that's a residential housing unit, new name for PMQs, there are a few different areas of the city that have them. Your best bet would be to contact CFHA as soon as you have your posting message. So their contact information is right there. So there are RHUs in, we call them the South RHUs, the North ones, and then there's also our row housing. So here's a quick map just to give you a little bit of context. So we are here, the MFRC is here, the Canex is here, and these are the main, and this is the main entrance to the base. So this is the row housing. So if you're looking at row housing as an option for yourself, or if CFHA offers you a unit in the row housing, that's what you're looking at, which is nice because the gym is right there and you can probably walk to work pretty comfortably every day. And then this is what we call the North PMQs. So imagine the base is taking up basically all the space in between the row housing and the North PMQs. So this is where they are. And then there's another entrance to the base kind of up here off map. So those are fairly close as well. I think it's like a 3-minute drive to the main entrance of the base. Yes, Jenny.
Sorry, I just wanted to maybe elaborate why we have 2 different areas as well.
Yes.
So Winnipeg, we used to have a PPCLI unit, and they moved to Shiloh, and that unit was on the north side, so that's why, or on the south side, sorry. So that's why we have 2 kind of separate areas. But those units aren't there anymore. So, but the RHUs are still.
Perfect. Well, I learned something new tonight. So that's great. Perfect. So then this is the ones in the south. So that is little bit across the river. It's only about a 15-minute drive to base, though. It's still not so bad. And there are a lot more units here. And there's all sorts of stuff near here. There's a lot of, shopping mall. There's a great outlet mall, actually. And the IKEA is close to there. So, if you're looking forward to moving to Winnipeg for IKEA, it's right there. Do we have any questions before we move on to childcare and school? If there's anyone that would like to ask any questions, you can ask them in the chat or out loud. I'll give it a quick second in case anyone's typing.
We did have the one question about walk-in clinics around, and
Oh,
there are quite a few walk-in clinics, and I put in the map. There's Winnipeg Regional Health Authority has a big online presence, and they talk about wait times in the ERs and the urgent care rooms, etc. And there's a list of all of the walk-in clinics, and you can kind of find it by area of the city.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you. Yes, they're really wonderful, honestly. You can search and find which ones are open at which times, which is nice. It won't just feed you all walk-in clinics. It'll show you which ones are actually open, and it'll give you the wait times live, which is nice as well. So you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go. So that's perfect. All right. If there's no more questions, I'll move on. And if there is more questions, you can always ask them anytime in the chat or at the end as well. So for school, so if you have little ones and you're relocating to Winnipeg, within Winnipeg, there are 6 school divisions in the Anglophone school district. So the Anglophone school district does include French immersion as well. So there are full English schools and then French immersion. And then for full French schools, there's the District Scolaire Franco-Manitobain. It is admissible to families who have one francophone parent or guardian. However, exceptions can be made on a case-by-case basis with a formal application to that specific school. And there are a number of private schools as well. So if you're looking at private school for your kids, there are plenty of options here, including Montessori, as well as a whole bunch of other options. This is a big one. A lot of people have been asking about this year. Important to know if you have a child starting kindergarten in the fall when you're arriving. Here in Manitoba, most schools have half-day kindergarten. So that's important to know because you'll probably be looking for childcare if you're a dual working couple. And that can be difficult when you're looking for childcare and all of a sudden your child is off school at noon every day. There are some options for full day kindergarten. If that's something that you require, please feel free to reach out to me. I do have kind of a running list of some schools that are offering full day kindergarten next year and would be happy to share that with you. Of course, moving from one province to the other, not always easy for kiddos, and can lead to sometimes some delays. Sometimes they just do great with it, really. But there are some educational support tools available to you that actually have some pretty nice military discounts as well. So one of them is Schoolio. So Schoolio is an online tool for children in kindergarten to grade 8. They provide a 30% discount for military families. If you want that code, you can email me and I'll gladly share it with you. Schoolio is nice because what you can actually do is you can input the province you're leaving and the province you're going to, and and the grade level that your child is going to and from, and it will actually feed you any differences in curriculum, anything that your child might have missed because of differences in curriculum, and it'll kind of just give that to you just like that, and you can kind of tackle that with your child on the side just to make sure they haven't missed anything. The 30% discount is off of their subscription fee, so it's a monthly subscription that you can unsubscribe from any time, and it also applies to anything extra that you want to buy within the app, or sorry, not the app, the website. Solero is another really great tool. So it's online, kind of self-led. for kids from grades 3 to 12. It focuses mostly on English, math, and science. And then there's also the option of online or in-person tutoring with the Oxford Learning Centre. So I know there are quite a few centres actually across Canada, but we have a couple here in the city as well, one that's actually not too far from base, and they are offering even some summer tutoring programs and all that kind of stuff. So if that's something that you're worried about your child, adapting to the change and you want a little bit of extra help for them, then these are some good tools to keep in mind. And the big one, childcare. I think one of the biggest challenges of moving really is childcare. So unfortunately, like everywhere else in Canada, I believe, most other places in Canada, there are some pretty lengthy wait lists for childcare centres here in Canada. I'll get to that in a second, but first I want to say if ever you arrive and you find yourself needing emergency childcare, please know that there are some options for you. You can contact the Family Information Line. The number is here. And they have partnered with a childcare center here in the city called Kids and Company, and you can access childcare through them. It is for short term, so it's only for a few days. It's really to kind of unstuck you if you find yourself in an emergency situation here when you arrive. Otherwise, there is the childcare map. So this is a handy tool. You can input the postal code where you plan on moving, or if you don't know where you're going to move to yet, you can always use a postal code near the base to see childcare centers near the base. And yeah, it will feed you all sorts of childcare centers in your area. You will see that likely all of them will say that they are at capacity or full. You still need to reach out to them and get on their wait list. Get on their wait list like now if you haven't already. And yeah, I suggest getting in contact with them maybe every couple months just to reiterate if you are still interested in spaces. In my experience, the persistent parent is usually the one that gets spot. It helps to kind of stay at the top of their mind, right? Here at the Winnipeg Military Family Resource Center, we do have a childcare center. It has 127 spaces. To get on the wait list for that one, you can email Kim Dunning. Her email address is right there. But like all other childcare centers, they are at capacity. There is a wait list. So do not make the mistake that some other people have made where they just kind of assume that they will get a space in the MFRC childcare center. It's full like everywhere else, so get on multiple wait lists. They do, of course, give priority to military members, and they give priority to newly posted military members. And of course, they do see quite a bit of movement during the summer with posting season. So we will see movement. We'll see a lot of kids leaving and a lot of kids getting off the wait list and into the center. However, wait lists are long. So yeah. And then otherwise, if you don't need full-time childcare, but you're looking for an opportunity to help your 3 to 5-year-old get prepared for kindergarten, here in Manitoba, they have nursery schools. It's a little bit of their version of like a pre-kindergarten. So it's usually a part-time program. The MFRC has a nursery school. However, there are some all over the city. So if you plan on living outside of the city, there is probably a nursery school near you. You can use the childcare search tool to find nursery schools as well. And yeah, it's a great program to get kids ready for kindergarten. It's usually about 3 half days a week, gives mom and dad a little break as well, and helps to get them prepared for kindergarten. So why connect with us? Well, as you may know, as you may have experienced already, I know I sure have, with relocation comes rebuilding a little bit of everything. If you're getting posted somewhere where you don't know anyone at all, you're rebuilding, you don't have family and friends to lean on. So that is where we come in. So coming to some of our events, it's a great way to socialize with other military families going through the same thing as you. Much easier to make connections with those who have things in common with you, right? Just even if it's just military lifestyle. We have a few upcoming programs that we'll be offering during the summer, as well as in the fall. One of them being, if you have kids, we're doing play date in the park, which is just an opportunity for families to get together, let their kids play while the adults get to socialize. We always have some good snacks and good conversations. And then the other that will be taking a break for the summer, but restarting in the fall, is our community conversations group. That one is led by volunteers. So it's a great place to meet other adults, other families that are in the community. And then we were also actually going to start a night version of this program that will be running throughout the summer. So if you're getting here during the summer and you're looking for an opportunity to socialize and meet with others, it will be beginning on June 26th and will be happening the last Wednesday of each month in the evening from 6 to 7:30. And these are just good opportunities because it's a great place to connect with others. And, you know, childcare is an issue, yes. However, you might meet another parent who plans to stay home and may be wanting to babysit or, you know, whatnot. It's a great place to make those connections and hopefully find some more support in your community and just start rebuilding community with your move. So yes, is there any questions?
Hi, my name is Ashley. I'm the one being posted from Goose Bay. Question about the wait list for the MFRC. So I put my son on it before I even get my posting message because I knew that's where I was coming. Is it one of those, like I've heard horror stories where, you know, you put your kid on the wait list and like 2 years later you might hear back, or do you know how much movement there is typically during the summer?
It depends year to year, really. Year to year is different. I know I've heard them say they see like sometimes a 30% changeover just in all the kids. However, it really does vary year to year. It is good to get, like I said, on multiple wait lists. Unfortunately, I don't know the numbers on it. I don't know exactly. You can get in contact with him again and just kind of see how you're looking. But yeah, it's good that you got on the wait list already, though. That's really good.
And another kind of follow-up question, does the MFRC keep a list of like teenage babysitters in the PMQs that are willing to babysit?
We do our best. Unfortunately, not a lot of people reach out to put their name on the list. We've reached out a lot. We do have a couple babysitters on our list. However, I do recommend, if you haven't already found it on social media, there is the Winnipeg military community group where a lot of people will post and share, like, I'm looking to babysit, or a lot of people will post. You can even, if you don't want to post yourself, you can just search babysitting and you'll see all sorts of posts from the past where people have asked that exact question: are there any babysitters in the area? And a whole bunch of people have, you know, raised their hand and said me. So in my experience, that's the best place to look for a babysitter, is on that page. And if you don't have social media, feel free to ask me. I will gladly post on your behalf and ask for babysitters and disclose that I'm posting for someone who doesn't have social media, and that I'll share kind of all of the feedback that I get with you.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I'm on that one already, so thanks.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great, honestly, it's a great page. I think we can even, maybe Jenny, do you think you can share it in the chat if I didn't include that one. I should have, the Winnipeg military family page. Yeah, it's a really good, it's a good group. They're a very supportive group. Everybody's always sharing some really great resources. Are there any other questions? Well, as I said, I will be meeting hopefully with each and every one of you when you arrive here in Winnipeg for your clear-in meeting. it is mandatory to do it in person here at the MFRC. So I'll see you, and hopefully if you have any other questions, or if you're here on your house hunting trip, you can feel free to pop by as well. And if you have any questions, we can always chat more in depth then. Oh, all right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining, and I wish you a very happy, uneventful move. I hope everything goes perfectly, nothing breaks, travel is beautiful and funny, and everything goes really well when you arrive.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks so much.